Oh boy, now we're talking tips and tricks for beginner riders. This is my jam right here. Not sure how it got to be my thing, probably because the internet has a predisposition towards anything with the word beginner in it, but I digress. The tips and tricks we're covering are for those new riders who've been out and about on their bike for a little while. Either you passed the MSF class and got your license like a good boy or girl, or you pulled a total YOLO Swaggins move and hopped straight on your buddy's Gixxer 600 like the absolute degenerate that you are. Regardless of the route you took, you basically, like every other rider on this planet, are hooked, and now your entire life is devoted to riding and defending your preferred manufacturer online. God help you if you chose Suzuki. It's like picking the yellow team in Pokemon Go. Everyone's gonna make fun of you, even other Suzuki riders, like me. Anyway, these are a few tips that'll help you stay safe, improve your skills, or just keep you from looking like a dweeb when you want to impress all your friends with some crappy 1-inch wheelie and still somehow manage to dump the bike. Let's dive straight in with our first tip of the day. Don't look at your dashboard. But Yammie, how will I know how fast I'm going or what gear I'm in or if I suddenly started to run out of gas? You want to know the truth, my little squidlet? None of that really matters. You need to be looking at the road in front of you, not at your dashboard, to confirm that yes, you are in fact going 34.52 miles an hour, which is within the speed limit of the street. Think about it like this. Do you look at the dashboard when you're driving around in your car? No. Why? Because you can gauge how fast you're going by the other cars around you. If you drive a stick, you're listening to the engine to find the right gear. If not, the car's doing all the work for you and you've got nothing to worry about. A bike is the same way. When it comes to gear selection, you're not going to try to cruise at the top end unless you're the aforementioned Gixxer Squid, in which case an M4 exhaust screaming at redline is the sound of your people. You're going to be shifting for a nice smooth ride. If you're too low, the engine's going to sound like it's working way too hard, and if you're in too high of a gear, you're not going to have any power on tap when you open the throttle. You'll learn to feel your bike out and know how to make its power and wear. As for speed, just like in a car, you'll be able to set and moderate your speed with the traffic around you. There's no point constantly checking your speed. If you're not looking down at your dashboard, you can look at the road and pick out incoming obstacles, notice cars that might change lanes without signaling, or just be able to take in the sights of wherever you're riding. Keep your eyes on the road and look where you want to go. You don't need to be looking at your dash as much as you think. Number 9, stay loose. Look, I was a new rider many moons ago, and I remember how butt-puckering the feeling of speed was, even on a little R3. Between the wind, the vibration, 55 miles an hour never felt so fast. It's easy to go higher speeds and want to clamp down on those handlebars and hold on tight for dear life, but you need to relax and stay loose. The best way to do that is to grab your gas tank with your knees. Insert simping for tank grips here, but seriously, getting a set of tank grips can give you a better purchase on your gas tank so you don't feel like you're sliding around. That'll leave your upper body free to move since you're not using it to stabilize yourself on the bike. It'll keep your inputs on the bars lighter, which makes your cornering feel more natural, and you won't accidentally whiskey throttle the bike if you go over a bump in the road. I can't stress enough how important it is keeping a light grip on the bars if you want to improve your skills. Kind of like saving your balls. Yes, that's right, hard pivot into a manscaped read. Did you know that the average human male is carrying somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds of unwanted body hair on them at any given time? Does that statistic sound way too high? I have no idea, I made it up, but imagine how much better you'll feel without that happy trail running from your tum-tum to your taint. The Lawnmower 4.0 will have that trimmed up in seconds thanks to its new and improved battery life, increased redline, and enough torque to chop down an actual bush, let alone your pubes. The Lawnmower cannot chop an actual bush. Manscaped doesn't want me to say that. The fun doesn't stop there, though. They've got the Shears 2.0 to clean up your fingernails and the Weed Whacker for your nose pubes. They've even got a range of deodorants and colognes to keep you smelling like a rose. Click the link down below and get an instant 20% off your order automatically. No codes, nothing like that. And a big shout out to Manscaped for supporting the channel for as long as they have. Seriously, they've been working with us since 2018. Go show them some love and get yourself trimmed up at the same time. I guess it helps that our audience is literally 97% males. It's probably why our partnership has been so fruitful. Click that link down below. Thanks again. Number 8, don't ride around with random motorcyclists. Have you ever been out for a ride down a popular road in your town and found yourself behind another rider? There's a tendency to want to form up behind them like you're suddenly in a group riding staggered and following where they go. This is a really bad idea. First of all, it's probably really annoying to the rider in front. Secondly, it's dangerous for you. You have no idea what kind of rider they are, how good they are, if they're going to slow down using only engine braking and not light up their brake light. It's just better to leave a few car lengths between you and other riders. Don't try to follow them into corners, especially especially on twisty roads, because chances are, if you're a beginner, they're more comfortable leaning their bike over than you are, and you don't want to chase someone into a corner and then suddenly get surprised halfway through a decreasing radius and slam on the brakes. I've seen it happen a lot of times. It's really easy to trigger that competitive mindset where if they can do something, that means you can do it too, and suddenly you find yourself riding way beyond your limits. Let that other rider go and just ride your own ride. As an anecdote, this happens all the time on the racetrack when a newer rider is following a more experienced track day rider into a braking zone and they cannot brake as deep as they can and they go careening off the track. Don't let that be you. Number 7, don't rely on technology. We here at Yammie Noob have heaped no end of praise on bikes like the Duke 390 and the Svartpillen 401 for having a bunch of really cool technology built in at a really cheap price, and that's super cool, but also kind of pointless and possibly even distracting. Think about it this way. Traction control on a leader bike serves to modulate power to the rear wheel to keep it from slipping when under power and on a racetrack. But those bikes are pushing close to, if not over 200 horsepower. Even bikes like the Street Triple and the MT-09 have enough torque to spin the rear wheel if you get on the gas hard enough. But is your Ninja 400 with its 47.8 A2 compliant horsepower at the crank really in danger of breaking the back tire loose? Not exactly. Even in the wet, you'll be able to keep your bike upright without having any of that tech in there. You'll look like Brad Binder, looking so good in the wet weather. Oh my God, did y'all catch that GP race? Anyways, what you need to be doing is developing good throttle control, good braking habits, and creating a foundation of good mechanical skills, because that'll translate from a beginner bike. A beginner bike? A beginner bike. That's what I meant to say. All the way up to a leader bike. If you just squeeze the heck out of the brakes and let the ABS sort things out for you, then when you get on a bike without a proper braking setup, you'll get yourself over the handlebars. It's also part of the reason I don't recommend starting on a Grom or a Gixxer 250. You don't have to learn throttle control because the bikes aren't fast enough. If you ride an intermediate naked bike like you would a Grom, you're gonna have a real bad day. Number 6, go faster. Now, I know that might sound a little counterintuitive, but stick with me. When you're just starting out, you're probably a little nervous to get on the throttle and you're worried about going too fast, so you ride slow. The thing about that is motorcycles actually need some speed in order to handle properly. Somewhere between 10 and 15 miles per hour, you can actually start to feel how heavy the front tire is if you try to pull on the bar. So instead, you start countersteering. Once you do, you realize how the bike wants to fall into corners naturally. Now you can use your body to adjust the lean angle of the motorcycle. If you're going too slow and you try to do any of that stuff, it's not going to feel natural because the physical forces aren't working with you at those slow speeds. Now, do not misunderstand this as a carte blanche to ride like a hooligan. You should still be riding well within your limits, but don't be afraid to add a little bit more speed and feel what that bike's gonna feel like when it's actually under pace. Number 5, drag your rear brake. Look, I bring this one up a lot in our beginner bike tip list, but I still see people not doing it, so I'm gonna keep mentioning it until they do. If you want me to stop, then just start dragging your rear brake. If you don't know, dragging your rear brake means that when you're riding, you push down on the rear brake just enough to feel it slowing down the rear wheel, but not enough to stop it. This creates a load on the rear wheel, which makes slow speed maneuvers feel super stable. This is one you can try at home. Hop on your bike and try to do a U-turn within 2 parking spaces using your clutch and throttle only, and then do it with your rear brake. You'll notice that the bike is a lot less twitchy and easier to turn, and it also helps when you're stuck in traffic. You can drag your rear brake to keep the bike rolling and not have to put your foot down and come to a complete stop. This is one of those things that they try to teach you at the MSF course, but because they're throwing so much information at you all at once, you'll probably forget about it. But it's one of those things you can practice just about anywhere, and it's worth developing the habit. While we're on the topic of advanced skills, number 4 is learn a bunch of advanced skills. Learn to kickstand turn your motorcycle, practice locking up the rear wheel and skidding to a stop, practice wheelies and even a burnout or two. Sure, all that stuff is fun and it's kind of goonish and it can look cool to do, but while you're learning them, you'll get a better feel for how your bike behaves under different circumstances. You'll know that when the front wheel comes up off the ground, you shouldn't just chop the throttle and slam the front end down. You'll learn how to ride out a skid just in case you need to be out on the road. Burnouts are pretty much good for nothing but making smoke and noise, but hey, you'll know how to do them, which is cool. Once again, I'm not saying go out and do all this stuff on the road. I'm saying to practice these things in a safe place so that if you encounter them on the road, you'll know what to do and you can react safely and calmly. Number 3, listen to your gut. Have you ever woken up in the morning and had a sneaking suspicion that today is just not going to be your day? Maybe you overslept your alarm or put your pants on the right leg first today instead of the left leg, or something just feels off. If that's the case, don't get on the bike. I'm not saying to bust out the Ouija board and have a seance, but sometimes the universe will give you a sign that today's not your day. Maybe it keeps you from getting a speeding ticket, or maybe you'll avoid getting into an accident. It's hard to explain, but sometimes you'll look back on dumb situations you got yourself into on the bike and can point out to weird superstitious signs that you ignored or might have been trying to tell you to not go out for a ride. It all sounds really hokey, but ask any rider who's had an accident and I bet you they'll say that something just didn't feel right before they went out. If something doesn't feel right, don't get on the bike. Number 2, ignore the voices. No, not the ones telling you to burn down your office. You probably need to shrink for those. I'm talking about your squid demons. Oh man, as a reformed squid and an unironic Busa boy, I can tell you that you'll never ever truly be free of your squid demons. They're always on your shoulder, tempting you to take that corner just a little bit faster. You can accelerate just a little bit quicker or brake a little bit later. It gets even worse when you're on a big power bike or one with a loud exhaust. It can cast a spell on your brain and make you ride in ways you normally wouldn't ride in. It's okay, we all get those feelings, but the important thing is to not listen to them. You've also got to let them out every once in a while, otherwise you might not be able to ignore them next time. Sure, making your bike quieter can help, or getting a different style of bike might make it harder to do dumb stuff, but those are only band-aids. Eventually they're going to come out, and if you're on the wrong place at the wrong time, it could be bad. The best place to exercise those demons is at the track, be it a circuit or a drag strip, whatever scratches your itch. Maybe it's a motocross track, or maybe you just want to do some jumps, or just whip your bike around some trails and you can thrash it to your heart's content in a safe and controlled environment. If you're out there struggling to keep the voices quiet, know that you're not the only one. Inside every motorcyclist lives an absolute degenerate who wears flip-flops and cargo shorts and does dumb stuff. Be Jekyll and not Hyde. The last thing on today's list is the one that I've mentioned before, but I'm going to add a little twist to it. Go to the track. Not only can you work out those squid demons we were just talking about, but you can also book some time with a coach who can teach you how to ride your motorcycle even better. Yes, you can learn on your own, but having someone watch you while you ride and give you instant feedback will help you improve your skills exponentially. They can show you proper body position, make sure you're looking deep enough into corners, or just tell you to go faster because no matter how fast you think you are, you're probably still slow. Trust me, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool track day junkie with probably thousands of laps under my belt, and I still get stuffed by 12-year-olds on Ninja 400s. A session or two with a coach can make you more confident, help you break bad habits, or just make you a few tenths faster around a track. All good things. Now, it's true that the skills you learn on the track don't translate directly to street riding, but there's no replacement for seat time when it comes to improving on a motorcycle. Fact: Wyoming is home to only 2 escalators. Goodbye. All right, look, you don't have to lie to me. If you had time for one Yammie Noob video all the way to the end, you probably have time for another one. You should probably just click this link and watch the video right over here. I promise it's gonna be good. You won't regret it. Seriously, you should just click it. I'm sure it's good. We only make good stuff around here. You should just watch it. Why are you still here?